Right, so I'm going to do a quick lap around Nordshleife in the dark. I think I've got this thing set up to how I want it to be. Hello Danny, how you doing? Thank you mate. So we're just going to do our out lap. We're going to do a whole lap on our out lap, and then we'll do a proper lap, and I'll sort of try and talk. I'm no guru around here whatsoever, I'm really not. I'm just trying to give sort of an idea of what I do around this track. So
your exit is clear, watch the white line.
Let's go out and so obviously we've got the 24-hour coming up next weekend, so this might be a complete fail, but this track is super hard in the dark. If you can do it at night time, then you can pretty much do it at any time. So we've just got to get the tyres up to temperature first, because the tyres are going to be super cold. So it will take a full lap. Danny. It'll probably take half a lap to get these tyres up to temperature. As you can see, I'm struggling already right at the beginning, pushing a bit too hard. So we'll get round the first out lap, and then I'll start sort of. I'll try and talk as I go through. It will be very hard for me to read the messages if you send messages, especially if you start sending them halfway through the lap when I'm in the mix to the forest. But I'll do my best, alright? This stream won't go on for a mega long time. It'll probably only be about a 20-minute long stream, so we'll see. But we'll try and push. We'll push quite hard for our fast lap, and see what. See what we can do, and that will give you some sort of idea as to how to drive this touring car around the circuit. So if you don't know, this touring car is front-wheel drive, front-engine front-wheel drive, so the rear of the car on the brakes can get very light indeed, so the rear can easily step round. But if it does start oversteering and the rear gets light, you can, with this car, just give it a boot full of throttle and it tends to correct itself. So in a way, very easy to catch the slides in this, but it is very easy also to get too much slide, which will then cause you to lose a lot of speed. What you don't want, there's a neat way of driving this thing. You need to, it's all about the trail braking in this car, and you never need to put your foot 100% on the brake pedal. Even if you're stopping at the maximum, you don't really need to be putting 100% brake pressure on. I might do a couple of times maybe around this lap into the hard braking zones, but even then that's probably too much. It's something I'm trying to sort of get out of doing, because you don't need to be using 100% brake pressure in this car. 80%, 85% at most I think would suffice in this. As the tyres are still cold, I can feel them, they're just not gripping up yet. So when you start feeling the rear of the car start to slide, you've got to release the brake pedal in order to keep the rear of the car straight. And as I say, to turn this car, you need to be using the brake pedal to get this thing turning. Okay, so we'll just get this. You'll notice as soon as I get oversteer, I'll lift off the brake pedal. There's no point putting more pressure on the brake. When you get oversteer, don't keep braking, because you'll always end up in the wall if you do that. You've just got to let it settle down on its own and let it do its thing. Or like I say, if you're in an extreme situation where the rear starts stepping out, just give it a boot full of throttle and it'll correct itself nicely. So this is an open server I've got at the moment. Luckily there's a few drivers that have quit out of the session, so we've got quite a clear track. So we hopefully won't come across any traffic. If anything, they'll be overtaking us, because there are 3 car classes. I'm driving the touring car, which is the slowest class out there. Not a car, I did forget to put it in. I think the MX-5 is in this event actually, I forgot to put that in, but anyway. The touring car, then you've got the Porsche GT4s and the GT3 class, so hopefully we won't see any of those come past us on our lap. Just not pushing quite hard yet. Tyres are still quite cold. I can feel the rears haven't really got to temperature. Right, Darren, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. You get to watch dudes race. Well, I'm just on my out lap at the moment, Darren. I'm just about to, I'm getting through this lap, and then I'll put a boot full in and try and set a lap time, and try and talk around what I'm doing, if I can do it that quick. There's 160 something corners on this track, so once you've learnt this track, then yeah, you're golden. But it took me a few weeks to learn this track off by heart, but now I've got it. This is my favourite, the carousel. Love it. Sparks coming out the back of the car there. Okay, so coming through into the last sort of 4 sectors.
Your quickest overall.
So many sectors in this. I don't know what sector I'm in and what I'm not in. Yeah, it's my favourite track too, Darren. It wasn't my favourite track. About a year ago, I absolutely despised this place because I was no good at it. I just wasn't quick, and I couldn't find any pace. I couldn't remember the corners that were coming up, and it was really bugging me. So I sort of left it. And then of recent, when it was actually only until this this car got released, the touring car, I decided to really knuckle down and start learning the track. And the best cars to learn this track in is the slower cars, I think, because you get the confidence to push through some corners where you wouldn't normally in faster cars, and it sort of starts to build your confidence up if you drive it in slower cars. So then eventually when you make the step up to faster cars, you sort of know how hard you can push around a certain corner, which I found. So when I go back to the GT3 car now, I know how hard I can push for each corner, because of confidence thing, because you sort of get confidence in knowing the circuit. So yeah, I always like to start in slower cars, but I just love this car at the moment. I've got hit sort of a purple patch with this touring car. Okay, so we're coming around the last sector now, and then we'll start a lap time. So with this 24-hour layout, we don't have the entire combined, so you don't have the Nürburgring GP, the entire GP circuit attached to this layout. you get the first corner and then it cuts, you get most of it, but it cuts the first, what are we talking about, 1, 2, 3, 4 corners. It cuts 4 corners out, so it does, it's pretty much the whole track apart from those 4 corners. Anyway, so we're gonna, after having a cup of tea on this straight, we'll start a lap. And actually, when they done the update of the lights, they were a lot brighter now. I think they are anyway. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but especially in VR, it's so much brighter now. It's brilliant. I can actually see. Yeah, before I couldn't. Right, here we go. This is the last corner. We'll just come round and we'll start a lap. Here we go then. So we're going down frames per second killer straight. This is where it absolutely kills the frames. Brake just before the 100 metre board there. Get it slowed down, and this is where you cut all that section out close to the wall. Careful on the throttle, because if you get too much of a, you boot it down too much, you will spin and just understeer straight off the circuit. So obviously we all know the GP layout here. Middle of the track, you don't really need to go wide. Bit of understeer there. And excuse me if I don't know the corner names, because I can't remember all the corner names. So, sorry about that. Still loads of oversteer there, that was horrific. See, that's just what I'm talking about. So when you get too much brake in there, as soon as it starts coming out, there's not really much you can do apart from give it a bootful, but I'd already gone too far over. So just ignore that. What's this, Schumacher S now, is it? Over the curbs. Well, that was a bad start for a lap, wasn't it? No good. I'll blame the tyres for that one, yeah? Tyres are still not warmed up after 8 minutes. Yeah, it's the GP layout, I really can't stand it. It's the GP layout I'm not very good at. I've always been horrible at Nürburgring GP. The other stuff I'm fine at. This is fast corner compared to the regular chicane you got going there. 4th or 3rd gear here. I usually drop to 3rd, but 4th is fine. Going to come out there and limit the wheel spin over those white lines on the right hand side. This bit's nice, fast. You give a slight lift coming into this one. This one here, you give a little bit of a lift. Make sure you don't go straight on. Stay in 5th gear, redline it. Down 1 gear. Keep it in this 1 gear for the next section of corners now. You don't shift down anymore. Stay in 4th. Stay in 4th. Over the curb. The other thing with this, the curbs are horrific around here. You touch there's some curbs you can run over nicely, but there are a lot of curbs here which you touch them and you're gonna become a corpse. Over the top of the hill, flat out, lift, no braking, back on the throttle. This is one of the fastest parts of the track here, almost redlining it in 6th. Lift, no brake, and then on that line, slam your brakes on down to 4th. Watch the back end, don't step out like I did earlier in the GP layout. Back on the gas. This is extremely fast part as well. Come down the hill, obviously it's downhill now, so the bottom of the car, it bottoms out, and this is one of my favourite parts of the circuit, coming up here on the left. Drop a gear over the curb, drop another gear to the right, and then drop another gear to the left. Slow it right down. So 5th on the left, 4th on the right, and then 3rd on the left again, and then back out. Love that section, really fast. Stay in 5th all the way down here, don't bother shifting to 6th, redline it. And drop into third, no, drop into fourth. I always think it's third gear. I think third gear is the first gear in most cars. In this car, you don't ever drop to second or first gear in this car because you'll just wheel spin all over the place. Use all that curb. Faster here, little lift, then back on the throttle. Keep tight here, keep tight. And then for a really hard braking zone here. Brake before you start turning right, otherwise the car will end up going straight into the barrier there. You don't want to turn at the same time you put the brakes on, because you know what will happen. Just go back about 2 minutes ago when I hit the gravel. That's what happens when you brake and turn, you go straight off. So do most of the application of the brakes in a straight line, and then bleed the brakes off, and that will start to turn the car in nicely. Double apex this one here, down two gears, missed the first apex, hit the second one, hard on the throttle, back out, as wide as you can go. Now, some people have different lines through here, but I tend to stick to the inside with this particular car because you don't gain much from going wide to inside. But now you start drifting out wide for the next apex and then come back in. Don't touch that curve because that will send you straight off, and then stay on the inside here. Keep it on the inside, and then that will send you out to the apex of the next one here, and then out to the outside, shift down one gear, fast corner, back on the throttle. You should be going around there at about 119 to 120 miles an hour, that particular corner, and then hard braking over the crest. You can stay in fourth or you can go to third, depends on how you approach this corner. If you go in too hot, you have to shift down to third. If you hit it just right, you can stay in fourth. Up to the carousel now. Down into third gear, don't use too much of the apron on the bottom of this curb here. Straight into fifth before you hit the top of that. Straight into fourth, sorry, before you hit the top of that, otherwise you get too much wheel spin. Up into fifth, flat out left-hander. A little bit of grass used there. Don't shift down, keep it in fifth here. Keep it in fifth here, and then shift down one gear now. Hard on the throttle. Watch these curbs, this is the really tricky section coming up now. Stay in the gear, don't shift down. Stay in, use all the curb here, use all the curb here. And then we shift down one gear, blind corner, you don't see anything until you get over the top of this. There it is, next corner. Shift down one more gear. A little bit wide, but it's okay, it's a double apex, you can cut back in nicely, stay in fourth gear. Stay in fourth gear all the way around. Redline it. Use the curb. And then down the hill. Really fast sector this, I'm going to go over a little jump here, but you want to brake before the jump now because you want to get the front nose turned in to keep it tight on this particular sector here, and then blind corner, turn left as you see that curve on the left, start turning over the hill down, and this is a really fast sector here. This is all flat out, 6th gear, coming up to the final sectors now. Where that fence is on the right, start braking there, drop down one gear. Use the brakes to get the rear of the car turning, drop down one more gear now, hit the curb, probably too much curb there, stay in fourth gear, up to the mini carousel, whatever this is called. Fifth gear, you want a slight lift on the right hand side here, so a little lift, touch that curb, go wide, and then as soon as you start turning, give a lift because you want to get full throttle now when you see that curb on the right hand side, and then stretch your legs. Have a breather. That's the bit that takes it out. You know, you can chill out a little bit. If you've got a beer, crack a beer open. You start going uphill now. So this is a huge drag fest down here. So you get a lot of people, obviously, this is the main overtaking opportunity. But what you don't want to do is start going too wide as you're before the bridge. You need to get this bridge here, you need to get your overtaking done before that, because if you don't, what you don't want to do is go down here two abreast, because it will 100% end in carnage. All this is flat out, flat out. As soon as you see that fence on the left, start braking, drop down a gear, drop down another gear, and then into third, use the curb to pull you around, and that's a lap of the Nordschleife. With a tiny little error at the beginning, on turn 4 I think it was, which has annoyed me a little bit, but there we go. And that'd be a lap. Not a very good lap, albeit. Yeah, it's not a very good lap. I've gone 7 seconds quicker than that previously, but there we go. There's a lap. And yeah, a bit of a cack lap, but still, you get the idea. I can't wait for this race. Next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 24-hour, starts on Saturday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, it'll be live streamed. Year 1 will be live streaming it, so check out the Facebook page and the YouTube channel. Thank you, Darren, appreciate it. Yeah, sorry about the little error at the beginning there. It was a bit of an amateur mistake. There's me talking about how not to drop it, and I end up dropping it. Still, the rest of the lap was pretty nice to drive. So yeah, next weekend is a 24-hour. This weekend I'm doing a 12-hour race at Suzuka. Yeah, and I think that's it for now. So anyway, I'll put some more updates on my page and let you all know when I'm going to be back online, etc., and go from there. So anyway, appreciate you tuning in.